The warning signs are all there. People just refuse to pay attention. Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rechak Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And so, starting off today, as you can see, the first headline dealing with the average price of ground beef. Okay, now in the U.S. is up a record $6.90 per pound. On a non-seasonally adjusted basis, ground beef prices have exceeded $7 per pound for the first time in history. That last part of this sentence here should be ringing some alarm bells in your mind, okay, about the first time in history. And now we're seeing a lot more other things that are being mentioned as the first time in a long time, the only other time something like this has happened, or also the first time in history. And that is because the world is currently changing, right? And you have an agenda that is in motion here, but it is, it takes a driving forces, right? I.e. events, global events on different scales to push the world to a state that justifies or brings about this new world order, this change. Okay, and also just recently, I forgot when exactly it was, but you had let me pull that up first. Was it Prince? We'll just say of England promotes digital ID. Maybe it's the king. Maybe, King Charles. There it is. Just throwing that on there. So, I'll just read it from the AI overview. It says, as of May 2026, King Charles III has officially confirmed that the UK government will proceed with the introduction of a voluntary digital ID scheme to modernize public service interactions. Now, if there's anything you've learned about voluntary things, it's that, or it should be that from these people, voluntary is just a foot in the door. It can be voluntary, that's fine, but there are different levels to voluntary, and how long it stays on a genuine level of being voluntary, well, that's not really for long. Like when they brought out during the lockdowns and they came out with the solution, they called it. It went from, go ahead and, encouraging people to do what's right and rewarding them. You even had I think it was the New York mayor at the time, promoting, saying you'll get free Shake Shack. There was literally a video of him at the live press conference area eating Shake Shack, talking about, V's. And that's how they're promoting it, and many other things, even other places. Let's not forget, this is the same world where they were promoting giving free, lap dances if you go and get, juiced up. Really, you have to promote something that's good for somebody that hard? Anyway, it started off with rewards, and then it turned into mandates. How voluntary that was. Now, the voluntary part about that was that, well, we don't necessarily need to come to your house and hold you down and shove a syringe into you, but you can't work here or attend this venue or this event if you don't have it. You're free to do what you want. You just can't do this without that. So it's a interesting kind of voluntary activity there, right? Anyway, so just keep that in mind, right? That we've already experienced something like this. The problem is the average human being today has a very short-term memory. They tend to have selective memory. They forget the important things and they remember the vain, unimportant things in life. Anyway, it says this initiative aims to provide secure, free-to-access digital proof of identity for services and the wider economy. And what this does is it ties everything together. Okay, it ties everything together. And like I said, this is the um, an introduction of it to people, right? In terms of like implementation and actually and like pushing it forward. But this isn't anything new. This has been on the books for a long, long, long time. And the form in which this takes, that look, you can access the same information now on your phone that you can access on your computer, right? And even on your Apple Watch or whatever Apple device you have. Okay, even on certain different machines, a tablet, and you can, if you have a bank app, Chase or Capital One or Citibank or whatnot. If you go on a tablet, you can get it. If you go on a phone, you can get it. If you go on a computer, a desktop, a monitor, even a smart TV, you can go on the internet and you can access it. So the physical device you use to access this information, that can change at any point. The real heavy lifting is the infrastructure, right? The actual setting up. Shalakia, you got these kids out here making so much noise. The actual setting up of the system so that you can have something to access, whether you're on your phone or your tablet or your computer or even your implantable chip, right? So that part, is that's just another device to introduce to access this system here. But they have to put in place this new age technology, and you will see very, very clearly. In fact, you will experience, which will ensure you don't forget. You will experience how far they're gonna go with this. Because you still have people that'll see it and say, "Oh yeah, I heard one or two hiccups about this in the past, but yeah, I'm sure it's like they go from no, there's no way they're not gonna do any digital ID. Then when they bring the digital ID, they say, oh, well, it's not gonna be as bad as you're saying it's gonna be. So at what point do you accept reality? Even at the very point when they're living through the harshest draconian implementation of this, they're going to be saying, I can't believe it. No, this can't be real. This must be a dream. A dream, more like a nightmare. So some of the key details here are voluntary use. King Charles confirmed in the May 2026 King's speech that the public will have an option to use the digital ID system rather than it being mandatory. But let's actually understand what that means, though, right? Mandatory on what level, or option on what level? Because if you go to, like, for example, I can go to a store, right? There's a store I go to, and at one point they accepted all different kinds of cards, and you can go in there with Capital One or Chase or whatever. And then now there's only a select few that work. If you go there and your bank is not, they don't allow or accept, card, debit, or credit from that bank, you can't purchase there. You might maybe transfer money into your Apple wallet and use Apple Pay if they accept that. But you have to do this like conversion. It's like going to a country. You're free to go to some foreign country with US dollars, but if the currency they deal with is not US dollars, you have to convert the dollars you have into their currency, and then you can make those transactions with it. So when it says rather than being mandatory, well, there's a mandatory in the sense that you issue a mandate saying everybody in the UK has to go and get a digital ID system or register for it, or a digital ID, whatever the case is. That's one level of mandatory. But another level is, well, companies, private sector, whatever, they're free to decide how they want to do what they want to do. Maybe they can all just start to say, well, we only accept transactions through this new payment system, because eventually that's where it's going to go. Remember, this digital ID is to tie it all in. It's all information. It's all just binary data, binary code inside of some program somewhere in some database somewhere. That's all it is. All you got to do, if you really want to get technical, all you got to do is just add another column or field, or obviously it's more involved than that, but just add another part to where whatever information pulls up when you scan, whatever QR code or whatever pulls up your digital ID, it's linked to, okay, I see all your credit cards and stuff popped up on here. I see your medical records are also on here. Everything is tied to you, right? Like you have the circle with you and then the little map, right? The little lines that come out of the circle that connect to different things about you. So, so interesting, that they're mentioning this here, because they're very well aware that people are very weary and cautious about, use of technology in this sense, given that there have been warnings about it for so long. So the purpose, it is intended to streamline access to public services and act as a secure. Streamline is a nice professional way of saying to make it more convenient, right? It's smoother. It's everything is quicker. Like when you use, say, for example, Apple Pay, you don't even need to have your physical card on you. You don't need to even swipe anymore. You just go and just tap the phone next to the reader, and then boom, double click, power button, type your passcode and whatnot, and the purchase is done. Quick and easy. So things that are like to streamline a process makes it less friction, less steps that you have to do, and it's more convenient. Ultimately, what this does is it sells you convenience. And people love convenience. They're hooked on it, so they'll buy it. Non-physical alternative, right? So it says here, it's intended to streamline access to public services and act as a secure, non-physical alternative to traditional documents like passports, reducing fraud. The context here is the initiative is part of the Digital Access to Services Bill, aimed at modernizing interactions with government services. And I did a lesson yesterday, and in the lesson, I was reading an article, and in the article, it mentioned, I forget what it was, but there was, I think it was the International Energy Agency that revised their forecast about, it was that the demand supply of oil is very quickly, if it hasn't already, going to be overshadowed by the demand for it, meaning there won't be enough to match the demand. So they had to revise their forecast for how quickly this is happening and so on. And I mentioned in there that is because what you say and see today, it does not, about the future, does not stay the same. Tomorrow, something else might happen that might change completely your view of it. Why do I bring that up? I bring that up because look at the language you're using. Voluntary. Streamline access to public services. This is aimed at modernizing interaction with government services. So people think about that and think, oh, okay, cool. Then it's not everything, but, it's a good amount of things. That's today. What happens when they get past this stage? You think they just stop there? No, they take the parts of this that they can tell the people, hey, look, we did this and look how quick it is. Oh, we did that and look how much the metrics have shown improvements in this, that, and the third. We should introduce this into more sectors. We should add more to this. We should build upon this. And then before you know it, now you're dealing with more than just government services. And that voluntary doesn't seem too voluntary anymore. Previous support, says King Charles has previously shown support for digital technology, including supporting digital ID for fashion sustainability in 2021. So that's all we're going to read on that. Now let's jump to, I have two headlines on here, both from Zero Hedge. The next one here is Separate Peace. Saudi Arabia floats regional non-aggression pact with Iran. Are regional Gulf countries seeking to forge their own, that should be their own separate peace deals with Iran, apart from the United States? That's what Fresh Thursday reporting in the Financial Times suggests. which is going to be an interesting, very, very interesting turn of events. The report says Saudi Arabia is supposedly considering, keyword supposedly, considering a non-aggression pact between the Middle East states and Iran. After the military conflict between the United States and Iran ends, that's okay, we'll see how that goes. Citing diplomatic sources, it describes that Riyadh is assessing a model of the Helsinki process, which helped reduce tensions in Europe during the Cold War and created an uneasy East-West peace in post-World War II Europe. The driving rationale behind the potential diplomatic framework is that while Iran is weakened, the reality is that it still poses a threat to its neighbor. Yeah, because they feeling the heat. Their business is messed up. The economy is taking a huge hit. They're getting rocked left and right. You know, a lot of them are declaring force majeure. They already did. So things have not been doing too well over there. Okay. An Arab diplomat cited by FT said that a non-aggression pact modeled along the lines of the Helsinki process is something likely to be embraced by most Arab and Muslim states, as well as by Iranian leader. It all depends on who is in it. In the current climate, you are not going to be able to get Iran and Israel. Without Israel, it could be counterproductive because after Iran, they are seen as the biggest source of conflict. I mean, after Iran, last time we checked in history, it wasn't Iran that went and, triggered an attack on Israel first. But Iran is not going anywhere, and this is why the Saudis are pushing it, the sources stated. Okay, and then it goes on more and more and more in there. But interesting sort of turn of events that we're seeing here. But remember, right, what Yahushua said, that the end is not yet. So that's why we're, even though this conflict is going on, you're seeing it sort of drag out a bit more, right? And there's still things that need to take place, right? Look at where Turkey is right now and where they're going to end up, right? Look at how involved Russia and China are. Okay, look at all of these different parts that we know are going to be in full effect when it's time for this war to go nuclear. They're not really there yet, and that's because you still have other parts of prophecy that need to take place. The next one here is Cuba depletes fuel as blackouts worsen, putting Havana's communists under pressure ahead of U.S. talks. And with this one, I mean, the title is pretty self-explanatory, but I'm going to play some of the videos here, so you can see what it's looking like over there. So this is Reuters. Protests broke out across the Cuban capital of Havana as the city confronted its worst rolling blackouts in decades amid a U.S. blockade that starved the island of fuel.
We are demanding the right to have electricity. We have gone more than 40 hours without electricity. I live in a community where there are many elderly people, many of them bedridden. There are many children. Food is going bad inside the refrigerators, the little food that can be obtained. The country's situation is well known, and it gave us the motivation to come out to see if even by banging a pot, they will give us at least 3 hours of electricity.
Nos ponen, aunque sea 3 horas de electricidad.
Now, really think about this, right? At least 3 hours of electricity. That, like, they're what they are asking for right here, or what they're protesting about, is having electricity. And here, in America and in more advanced countries, like, electricity is not even something people think about at all. They just expect it to always work. It's not even about having electricity. It's about what you do with it. Like, it's something people do not even think about at all. And because of that, you forget how many things you use that actually depend on electricity. And this, whatever, the running out of fuel, which is causing these more severe blackouts, and rolling blackouts they're having over there, don't think that this place is immune to that. Sometimes people look around the world, right? They look around, they say, damn, things are crazy over there, but whew, I'm glad I'm not in that country. You do realize Babylon is going to be one of the worst places to be in when the Lord fully commences judgment upon this place. And by Babylon, I mean America. In fact, the scriptures say when the Lord is done, this place is going to be a desert. So those places, those other countries that you look at and say, oh, man, I'm glad I'm not there. Once the judgment fully commences, some of those you're going to wish you were there, because at least there's still some land and trees left over there. So let's take a look at this other video here. So you can see clearly there's a lot going on out here, you know. And once again, this is why the Lord told us to watch, right, as well as pray, and to continually to set us up as watchmen, you know. Let me actually get that real quick. In Isaiah 62:6, I have set watchmen upon thy walls, O Jerusalem. And the Lord does this for you, right? People have, you know why they have smoke detectors? You know why there's cameras and there's alarm systems, so that you can be warned of danger. And people value those things, right? You value a phone alarm you set so you're not late for work. You value a smoke detector so that if the smoke level is too high, it goes off, and you know you got to do something about that, right? Like, people value these things. You value cameras because if something goes on, you can go and check the cameras and find out that, okay, this is what happened. And it can even be a deterrent from somebody doing something crazy because it's there, right? So people value these alarm systems because of the warnings that they get from it, and can possibly prevent, a very bad situation from happening. And we are the ultimate warning. We are the ultimate alarm system the Lord has set up. That's what he means when he says he has set watchmen upon thy walls. He has set us up. We are the watchmen. Okay, we are the ultimate alarm system from the greatest danger that is to come. And ironically, the interesting thing about this is people don't care. The most important alarms and warning system the Lord set up is the one people care least to even pay attention to. Which shall never hold their peace, day nor night. Ye that make mention of the Lord, keep not silence, and give him no rest till he establish, until he make Jerusalem a praise in the earth. So guess what? Whether you like the sound of an alarm clock or not, it's still going to ring, right? Even when you're cooking in your house and the smoke detector goes off, even if you know what you're doing, you're like, nothing is burning, I'm just cooking. I may not be the best at it, but I'm still doing it. The smoke detector is still going to go off. It doesn't care whether, oh, I know what I'm doing, you don't got to go off today. No, it's going to go off because that's how it's programmed to work. So regardless of when people, oh, we don't want to hear what you got to say, we're still going to prophesy because that's how the Lord set us up. And that's how we work. But very soon, because the second you go and you remove that smoke detector or that carbon monoxide detector in your house, the one time you do that and find out that something went wrong, something that would barely ever happen, the chances of that happening is so small, and yet it happened. And the one time it decided to happen is the one time you didn't have what you needed to keep you safe. So don't end up like that. Turn back to the Lord, right? Repent, seek the Lord, because that is literally the only way. You may think right now that it doesn't sound like it. Right now, you may think, oh, no, you just go and find an off-grid place somewhere or get a bug-out bag. There are certain things that nothing in human might, right? Nothing that you can do as a human will deliver you from. And we're going to need divine favor, providence, So with that, I'm going to end it here. Lord willing, that was edifying and informative to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham.